Welcome back!
To coffee break.
Clink. That's what we'll do. The new intro is welcome back.
To coffee break.
Clink. Clink sound effect.
So last time, our protagonists were just about to board the roller roaster.
What might that be?
I want to think that they all have to get in different cars, and one of them just gets red hot in the middle of the ride, and they just roast.
Yeah, it's literally a Russian roulette where like one of the seats just like goes over from some flames, and it's like.
Or, alternatively, each car is fitted with an espresso maker, and they all get toffee light roasts in the middle of the ride.
We have reached the point in the story where I no longer remember too many details at all. Now for the roller roaster. It may look like an ordinary roller coaster, but upon closer inspection, you will see I have removed the safety bars. You merely have handholds. The strong will succeed in this test. His signature cackle made Sam shiver every time. There were protests on the lips of almost everyone, but again, the futility of rebelling was obvious. Nervously, the group found seats on the coaster. Trevor had suggested that he and Jack sit next to Sam and Penny respectively and put their arms around them before. How's that gonna help?
He's gonna hold them in. Yeah. Or he's gonna hold nothing. He's gonna fly out and take them with him.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna say like a handful of their hair.
So as to help.
He puts his hand on the back of each one's head. Just holds.
Tacky. So as to help when they might need it. This was assuming the psycho had even made it possible to hold on at all. Trevor looked back. Are you three going to be okay? Who? Oh, he asked to carry Jenny and Timmy. They all nodded. Sam knew they didn't have a choice either way. But it was like Trevor to be thoughtful anyways. Sam sat there with Jack's arm around her for the added stability as she herself held on to any handhold she could find. She didn't like normal roller coasters, but this was downright terrifying. If she had more time to think about it, she would have come to the definite conclusion that they were all going to die.
So is there anything to hold on to?
Handholds, I guess. I don't know.
Because it said there wasn't a bar.
This doesn't seem the most defined part of the story. Right here!
Why is it called a roller roaster?
The voice boomed as they stopped situating and prepared for the ride of their lives. Then, a thought occurred to Sam. Wait a minute, she called out. Why is it called the roller roaster?
Sam, my girl.
Oh, I almost forgot, the voice replied sarcastically. Let me just flip the switch here
and the on fire.
Yes, I'm sure all will make sense. With that, they heard the sound of a lever being pulled, and out of nowhere, giant pits of fire opened up all around the track. Sam gasped. Lit by the intense firelight, Sam could now see the huge hills and turns of the roller coaster as it went around, over, and dipped near the large pits as it went along. I wanted to name it something like Giant Pits from Hell, but didn't quite roll off the tongue as well. They started moving slowly off. Off you go! Star. The roller coaster at first moved upward, just like any roller coaster, building the tension in the air. There wasn't a lot of space between the seats, so he could feel Carrie's shoulder on his left and Jenny's on his right. He could tell they were as tense as he was. His arms tight on the grips provided his jaw set. He wasn't...
Timmy took the opportunity to.
He wasn't making it up when he said he wasn't weak. He was small and light, but not weak. He was certain if this thing was survivable, he would be able to hang on. He thought about the dead body he had seen on the scary-go-round, and the comment that they were the first ones to be here.
It just occurred to me, weren't.
Oh, yeah.
It just occurred to me, wouldn't it be funny if, like, they get off the ride and Jack discovers he was, like, sitting on someone's liver the whole time? Because you know people have been on this ride, too. No, like, the person who was cut in half, they just put his bottom half on the ride.
Little hips are going. They were not the first one to be here. If that were true, someone had most likely found the button before and made it to this ride. There was no evidence of anyone being here, though, and he realized that if anyone had fallen off of this one, there wouldn't have been anything left of them from the fire pits. Shivering at the thought, Timmy looked up and saw they were at the top. It was time to hold on tight.
To what?
The handholds!
The girls?
There have been handholds.
He just chokeholds
mentioned.
both of them.
Keep up. With only a slight delay at the top, the coaster set off down the track. There goes the tension. It wasn't as fast as some of the coasters he had been on before, which comforted him. Maybe the Psycho had actually wanted the ride to be survivable, and maybe there was a chance they would all make it. The first dip was long, going almost all the way to the ground, before leveling out and banking hard right. Teddy felt his muscles adjust to the sudden turn, and he felt the heat as they passed over one of the pits. He felt the tight... Would you be quieter? I don't mind the sound effects.
I don't know if they can hear me from back here.
They can. Trust me, they can. He felt the tightness of his whole body as he used every muscle possible to hang on. The track straightened and Timmy was yanked back to the middle position. He of course hadn't meant to lean so much on Carrie, but the force had pushed his light weight over in the turn. Everyone seemed to be hanging on for now. Jack held Sam close as she seemed to lose the grip on her left hand and momentarily slid out of place before recovering. No one had time to think before it sloped up and around, flopping the group around like rag dolls. Teddy...
Like rag dolls.
Like rag dolls. Why was that funny?
It's like rag dolls, not rag dolls.
They're rag dolls.
No, it's rag doll, not rag doll. It's rag doll.
It's a rag doll.
It's not rag doll. It's rag doll, not
Rag is an adjective. To the doll.
No, it's a type. It's rag doll.
Teddy smashed his chin against the front when the coaster hooked upwards. He saw and felt blood drip onto his clothes as he adjusted. Then they hit a spot far enough away from the pits that it grew dark. The burn of his muscles had eased slightly now that the heat from the fire was gone, but in the dark he couldn't see where they were headed. Without warning, the coaster dropped and banked left. Timmy felt the blood drain from his head and he dropped his lighter weight. Didn't come down as fast as the coaster, as his body easily slipped out of the seat. He was left to hold on for dear life by only his own hands.
So the roller coaster has gone upside down and he's down?
No, it went, and he went, ah, wah.
So he's dropping now?
No, so he's holding on with his hands and probably going, wah. Anyways.
It reminds me of that scene in Horton Hears a Who where he's imagining the people on the speck and the speck's flying by and they're like grabbing on.
Yeah. Fortunately, the drop didn't last long and it evened out as quickly as it had declined. Timmy felt his body slam down on the coaster, the blow to his chest almost causing him to lose his grip. Returning over the fire pits, he could see that the others were all still sitting, but jostled around, and he could tell they barely escaped his same fate. The coaster took a very small dip at the same time it moved over a pit. Timmy took advantage of this and used it to pull himself back into the seat. His muscles ached as he gratefully took the split second of rest before the coaster began to climb up again into the air. He was sweating and he felt the air around him get cooler, and as he climbed away from the pits, they reached the top quickly, and he could see what they had in store just ahead. A very big, very tight, downward spiral awaited them. Spiral?
This is where it's actually the most dangerous.
You can pass out.
That's what I was saying, with the downward spiral. If you pass out, you're gone.
Spooky spiral.
Spooky spiral.
Spooky spiral.
The spooky gruesome spiral.
Spooky spiral. It yanked his body as the slope took them down at the fastest speed yet. Around and around and around the way they went, tighter and tighter, faster and faster, until they reached the coaster's top speed, and it reached the bottom. It pulled out of its spiral and headed straight out of the fire pit zone. Once again, it became too dark to see ahead, and again, with no warning, the coaster took a sharp turn. Jimmy felt his muscles react before he had time to tell them what to do, and out of the darkness beside him, he heard Carrie scream loudly. The scream faded away, and just as soon they were back in the light. Looking to his left, Timmy saw that what he expected, an empty seat where Carrie had been sitting.
Who guessed Carrie would be the first to go?
Carrie! He and Jenny yelled together. Then the coaster finally came to a harsh stop, and Teddy hit his head again against the front again. He barely felt it as the shock from the loss of Carrie hit him in the chest harder than his knock to the head could have. He sat there horrified, bloody and in pain, staring into the darkness to which Carrie had fallen. Star. Carrie, okay.
Wow.
What is Carrie?
Carrie was the
loud one? You would have expected her to put up more of a fight.
Yeah, I was thinking Penny or Sam would go first.
One of the twins is definitely going to go eventually. It's telling that
Wow.
we haven't had a perspective from Carrie yet.
If she's actually dead, this would be a way that you would get rid of her, because you don't need to gruesomely describe how she got cut in half with an axe. She's just gone. You don't have to explain it. We know what happened, you know? So that is a way that you would get around that.
So on this episode, will Carrie still be alive from this drastic fall?
Will the identity of this evil Willy Wonka be revealed?
Will everyone else remain holding on to this roller roaster?
Find out next time on
Coffee break.
Yeet.